Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Wyoming Small Business Development Center Network webinar, Streamlining Your Social Media, Simplify Your Process, and Work Strategically to Save Time. The Wyoming Small Business Development Center Network is a statewide resource funded by the Wyoming Business Council and the U.S. Small Business Administration. We offer free, confidential advice to all Wyoming entrepreneurs and small business owners. Our advisors are located across the state, and they can help you start a business, grow your existing business, or recover from challenges. Now I'd like to introduce Audie Cunningham, a member of the Wyoming SBDC and Regional Director for Fremont and Teton counties. She is experienced in print and digital marketing, creating marketing plans, social media marketing, and business planning. I hope you all enjoy this presentation, and I will turn things over to Audie.
Great, thanks, Tyler. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for attending today's webinar on streamlining your social media. In my role as a business advisor, I meet a lot of folks who are struggling with their social media in one way or another. Typically, I hear that they don't have time to work on their social media, that they aren't sure how to use it for their business, or that they simply don't know what to say or what to post while on their social media. And I totally get it, because when you are a busy entrepreneur, it's easy to put social media tasks at the bottom of your to-do list. It can also be a unrewarding task, right? So you could spend 10 minutes creating a post just to get one like or one view or one comment. And this feels sometimes like failure or maybe just a waste of that 10 minutes. So my goal today is to help you feel a little bit more empowered to either start or perhaps revamp your social media strategy and create a workflow so that your social media can start working for you. So today we will answer the following 3 questions in this webinar. The first question is, before you start, what needs attention? And this is just some housekeeping tasks to address before you dive into processes. The next question is, what do I say? And what is good content? I get asked this a lot, so we'll talk just a little bit about what makes good content. And finally, we'll answer the question, how do I make social media marketing easier for my business? So this is a process that I like and that I hope will be useful for you as you look at streamlining your own social media work. So before you start, what needs attention? Nothing is worse than putting out a lot of great content and working really hard on your social media strategy just to find out that your audience is not hearing you because they don't use the platform that you're using. Just because you use Facebook, for example, and you feel really comfortable with it, doesn't mean that your customers are using it or that they're hearing you on that platform. So if you aren't sure if you're on the right platform and you aren't sure how to figure out what platform to be using, please let me know. I'd be happy to help you with this. And our lovely Market Research Center can also help in this area for you. The second question is, do you need technical assistance? Do you have all the technical skills required to manage your social media accounts or to create a business page if you don't have one already? And if not, what specifically do you need help with? I recommend writing down all of the issues that you might have or all of the questions that you have about your account, and then either give me a call or call your local regional director if you're working with someone, and we can do some troubleshooting or do some quick tutorials. Also, most social media companies will have an area on their website where you can find some answers to these questions, like a community discussion board. So you can also look there as well. And again, an SBDC advisor can help you with some of these technical skills and questions that you might have. For some issues, you may need to reach out to customer service, though. And lastly, do you need to do any updates to your social media pages or profiles? This is particularly important if you haven't been using your account or maybe if you haven't posted in a while. So you'll want to make sure that your hours are listed, that you have accurate information, and that all the areas of your account are filled out. Sometimes missing information or incorrect information can lead to bad reviews or complaints. Viewers may also make assumptions that your business is either closed or illegitimate. So you can avoid this by doing regular updates and checking that all the information is correct, kind of on a regular basis. So those are all the things you want to kind of check before you get started. Okay, what do I say? What is good content? Part of creating a good strategy and making your social media easier is understanding what makes for good content and how to create it regularly with focus and with purpose. Content is different from business to business, but good content comes from knowing your customers, and that is true across all industries. And understanding your customers comes from doing research, listening to your customers, and trying to key in on what they want to see, hear, and experience. If you're already using social media, you may have already learned a bit about your customers just based on what they react to, maybe other accounts that they follow, and the content that they share. But you don't have to be on social media already to know your customers. You can focus on what they say, questions they ask, or just comments they make about your product or service. You can try to understand their pain points, their habits, their interests, and maybe what motivates them to make purchases. So this will help you identify some kind of common themes or ideas that are of interest to your customers. Figuring out what to say to your audience can be challenging, and you will likely continue to assess and change your social media content based on the feedback that you get from customers over time. If you'd like further help with identifying and defining who your customer is, the SBDC can help you with that, and our award-winning Market Research Center can also assist you with this. Okay, I want to throw out a scenario and tell me if this sounds familiar. It's a Thursday afternoon, it's 4:45, and you're about to wrap up for the day, and you think to yourself, oh, I told myself on Monday I'd do some social media posts for my business this week. And I know I'm not going to have time to do it tomorrow, so it's kind of now or never. You open up your phone and your social media app and you just kind of stare at it. You have absolutely nothing interesting to say right now. You maybe just want to go home. Maybe you've got things to do after work. And you see other folks posting beautiful photos with well-written and insightful posts, and you feel like there's just no way that you can do that right now. You're exhausted, you've got to take your kids to practice, maybe you have a meeting tomorrow that you have to get ready for. So this approach rarely works. Trying to get social media done on the fly is hard for a lot of people. And unless you had something like really exciting happen that day and you were able to capture it, it's likely not working. So instead, I invite you to follow a more strategic approach that fits a little bit nicer into your schedule and helps you create more insightful content. Relying on this daily inspiration and motivation to create your social media posts can be kind of a nightmare for a lot of folks. So you might find yourself spinning your wheels and wasting a lot of time. I equate it to cramming for a test or procrastinating on your homework. It rarely goes well. So how do I make social media easier? We are going to follow 4 steps to help you streamline the process. there might be some time invested in setting up your workflow, but after you have it set up, you should have a system to streamline your social media work. So step one is, no surprise, you have to put it on your calendar. I suggest, if this is a really painful thing for you, to start with 1 hour a month and just see how it goes and see how you need to adjust your time commitment from there. I also suggest pairing it with another task that you complete once a month, if it makes sense. So maybe you reconcile your books once a month, or you send out a monthly newsletter. If you already have this kind of built into your schedule, add a little bit more time to these administrative tasks so that you can get some social media work done. The idea here is that there are probably administrative tasks you complete monthly that are kind of non-negotiable, right? You have to do payroll. You have to pay your employees. So pairing this up with these tasks and treating them like they're non-negotiables. So during this 1 hour, you might be doing a number of things. You might be writing, you might be creating posts, you might be taking photos or recording video, or maybe just responding or answering questions, or maybe just sharing other people's posts. And it's quite likely that after the 1 hour has passed, you will either be pleased with how much you could accomplish in an hour, or frustrated because you discovered that there are some maybe technical skills or part of this process that maybe you need some help with. Don't give up if you hit a wall with some technical issue. These things can often be resolved with a little help, but you might need to adjust that amount of time that you allocate for social media, at least for now. But most importantly, put it on your calendar and commit to it. Step two is creating some content. And I think a good place to start with content creation, if you have not done this before, or you were just totally out of ideas, is to start with FAQs, or frequently asked questions. They exist in all industries and across all businesses. I can't say I've met a small business owner that didn't have, at least one question that they get asked regularly. So for example, with an HVAC business, it might be, should I get central AC or a mini split to cool my home? For a restaurant, it might be, where do you source your local ingredients? For a wedding planner, it might be, when do I need to book your services? You've answered these questions probably a million times. So now I want you to open a Word doc and answer those questions. So you're doing a little bit of a writing prompt. So if a few paragraphs is really all you need, just write out your answers if you're speaking to your customer. And this is good content, right? Because it's something your audience is interested in. They've asked you a million times, and you're showing how your business is the solution to a problem or the answer to a question. You're creating content that is needed and sought after, and it can demonstrate your expertise, your professionalism, or your business's values. Step three is to draft your posts. What you're doing is you're just pulling out important points or ideas from your writing prompt, your FAQ paragraph that you wrote, and you're using those to draft some social media posts. So you want to pull out as much as you can, but you might set a goal here to pull 4 social media posts from those paragraphs so that you have one to use for each week of the month. And it's just a sentence or two. Maybe you have a couple that are a little bit longer, and maybe it's a paragraph. Or maybe you can take the information from that paragraph and turn it into here's 5 steps to da 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 da. And then you're going to pair that writing up with a photo or video that you've taken. Hopefully that is of high quality or that was done by a professional. And really, to streamline that process, I recommend keeping a file on your computer or on your phone where you store photos and videos that have been curated for social media usage. This way, you don't have to sift through all of the photos on your phone to find what you're looking for, or to, try and take a photo in that moment if, that moment isn't really photo worthy. And then you're scheduling your posts. If you really want to save time and streamline your process, you can use a social media scheduling software. And Meta Business Suite will also allow you to do some scheduled posts. Canva Pro has scheduling capability, so you can schedule from there as well. And these are all things I can help you with if you haven't done it before. But if you don't want to use a scheduling software, you can simply note it on your calendar and set a reminder to post. So for example, you wrote all of that FAQ in maybe a Word doc. You could use that same Word doc to draft your posts and then just number them. Then you can go into your calendar and, schedule them out. Say on the 5th, I want post 1, on the 10th, post 2, etc. And I've also used an Excel spreadsheet to create my schedule. It doesn't save as much time as a software, but it helps you get organized and stay accountable to your plan. We'll talk a little bit more about that method in just a few minutes. Okay, step 4 is to recycle your posts. So let's say you created 4 posts and you scheduled 1 a week for 4 weeks in September. Now you can take those same posts, make some edits to them, and post them again in, say, November. So maybe you're adding a few details about how that information changes seasonally, or you're just using different photos. I know this sounds like cheating, but it's not cheating. Your audience needs to hear things more than once. And you may have new followers in November that didn't see the post in September. So you could go ahead and schedule those posts at the same time. So let's do the math. You wrote an article or a blog post on an FAQ. You could publish that as a blog post on your website, or it could just be something you add to an FAQ page on your website. It could also go up in an email or in a newsletter. And then from that, you created 4 social media posts for September and 4 for November. So that's 9 opportunities to reach your customers. And if you're using multiple platforms and it makes sense to post the same thing on multiple platforms, you could potentially be doubling or tripling this to 18 opportunities or 27. So as you can see, this one blog post is now quickly racking up to a lot of opportunities to reach a potential customer. You could go a little bit further and do a video where you explain that FAQ, but in video format, and share that. Those are your 4 steps. Put it on your calendar, write some content, draft and schedule your posts, and then recycle. I mentioned using scheduling software. So let's talk a little bit about the pros and cons of utilizing that kind of software. Some pros is that it allows you to post across many platforms. If you're using, say, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and maybe Pinterest, you're using 4 different platforms, you can essentially create one post in your scheduling software account and post it on all 4 of those platforms. It will also help you design and create your posts right there in the app, and gives you recommendations on timing and when you want to post it to kind of optimize visibility. Also, They tend to have robust analytics, so you can see the analytics for all of your posts across multiple platforms in one spot. And I also like it because it's a place to store and organize all your photos. The cons are that these software subscriptions can be pricey, and you will likely have a monthly or annual fee that you have to pay. Often you can get a week or two for free, so that you can try it out and see if you like it. But you don't want to commit to this probably if you aren't going to use it regularly. But do also consider what your time is worth, because maybe, does paying for the software allow you to maybe free up time to spend with more clients or to have more billable hours in the week? That might be a reason to get it, but perhaps the cost is not yet justified with your budget, or you aren't sure you can commit to using your social media as frequently. Meta Business Suite also allows you to do some scheduled posting. The pros are that if you're using Facebook and Instagram, you can schedule your posts for free in the Meta Business Suite, and Meta will make scheduling recommendations based on when your followers are most active on the platform. The cons really are that if you are using other platforms or you plan to use other platforms in the future, you can't schedule those posts here. And so because of that, you also don't get that robust analytics where you can see, how things are performing across all platforms. So alternatively, you can use a simple spreadsheet to create a social media schedule. And this is simply for you to plan out each week. You still have to go in and manually post, so it's not saving as much time again, but if your main issue really is accountability, the spreadsheet can help you with that. This option obviously doesn't give you all the analytics either, but you can still manually go into each platform and check your analytics. So let's take a look at this spreadsheet. This is just in Excel. There's no formulas or anything. It's just columns. In the first column on the left, we have the days of the week. And so each week you would just start a new column there and you would make your plan for the week. So the second column is your planned social media post. In this example, I'm just putting that I want to do one post on Monday, one on Wednesday, and one on Friday. But if you have already done your writing exercise and you have pulled out some content that you want to turn into social media posts, you could go ahead and just copy and paste those into that column there so you have it saved for when you're ready to actually go ahead and post. And then the next column it says actual. This is where you get to be accountable to what you said you were going to do. So if you went in on Monday and said, I'm going to post Monday, Wednesday, Friday, then you could go in on Friday and then just check, did I do those 3 things that I said I was going to do? Or maybe I did more. And then the next column is what platforms you'd like to use for those posts. And the next one is topics. And that's where some people like to work in kind of themes or topics. In this example, there's a client testimonial post on Monday, a behind the scenes post on Wednesday, and then kind of an announcement on Friday. So then you can kind of keep track, what topic have I not covered in a little while? You can look back and see what you've done in the last couple of weeks. And then bonus, we've got other marketing, advertising, or networking. So it's just another place where you can add in, maybe it's not social media related, but you want to put in a reminder to send out your email newsletter or to drop off brochures at the chamber. And then again, there's a column to stay accountable to those tasks. And then we have events. If there's other kind of related topics or things that you want to put in there, you could change that to something else. But if you do a lot of events, you might put those in there as well. If you do trade shows or pop-up shops, anything like that, you could add in there. And then the last column is results. And this is where you get to track what is working. So, in this example, the results of the email newsletter that was sent out got 2 responses. And so that's worth noting, so that when you go back, maybe you review this plan quarterly or annually, you can go back and look at your efforts and say what was effective, what actually got customers or clients. And if you feel like you're following the plan and you're posting regularly and you're putting X's in those actual columns and still not getting the results that you want, then you can at least know that, well, I put in the effort here with social media, but it's not working for me. Now I need to assess everything else. Is it the strategy? Is it the platform I'm on? Is it the content I'm putting out? It's a little bit of a checks and balance spreadsheet. It's fairly easy to recreate this if you're familiar with Excel. If not, please let me know. I'm happy to share it with you. Next, I want to share just an example to go through the steps 1 through 4 and show you how it might work out. This is an article I wrote for the SBDC website. We call them Biz Tips. And it's just a few paragraphs I wrote on an FAQ. How do I make social media easier for my business? And I titled it Streamlining Your Social Media Efforts. So I pulled out the lines and information that I like that you'll see highlighted in blue, and then used them to create social media posts. And so obviously this biz tip then also became this webinar, and our marketing team created several social media posts for the webinar and for the biz tip, and probably a lot of other things, newsletters, emails. And so the first thing I did for all of that was just write this blog post on an FAQ. That is just something that I get asked a lot as an advisor. Next, here are just some sample social media posts that I created. So tired of staring at your phone at 4:45 p.m. trying to figure out what to post? It's time to get strategic. Call the SBDC for assistance with your social media marketing. And this one will also feel familiar probably. Do you feel like you're wasting time on your social media, on your business social media? Try scheduling 1 hour per month to work on a strategy. Your local SBDC advisor can assist you with your specific goals. So those were just a couple of sentences that I pulled out of here. And then I added a call to action at the end. Then I added I just copied and pasted that text, added a couple of photos that I had saved in my folder for presentations and other marketing and webinar events. And then here I recycled. So the wording for these posts is very similar to the ones here. So for example, this one says, tired of staring at your phone at 4:45. I changed that one to tired of wasting time trying to write social media posts at the end of your day. So I could post these ones, maybe a month or 2 later, just to circle back on those topics. So one thing we haven't really discussed yet is who is going to manage the social media accounts in the scheduling software. If you are a solopreneur, it's likely going to be you, unless you outsource it. But if you have employees, it might be someone else that you are delegating this work to. And if that's the case, here are some tips on delegating your social media tasks. The first is to pair talent and interest with tasks. What that means is, if there's someone on your team that enjoys working in social media, you might be trying to delegate this work to them. They're probably going to be a lot more successful at it than someone, perhaps you, who doesn't really want to work in a social media space, or struggles with it in some way. But if you do delegate, make sure to create clear social media guidelines. You'll want to include some sort of branding guide and policies for them to use. This way, you're setting clear expectations about how you want them to use social media and what kind of content you want them to be posting. And also, if that employee ends up leaving the business, you don't lose a bunch of time trying to bring the next person up to speed. And you won't have, big gaps in your social media calendar where you aren't posting or responding at all. Furthermore, if your employee who manages the account leaves or is suddenly unavailable, you may find yourself losing access to your accounts or getting behind on your calendar. You can waste a lot of time trying to recover accounts if you don't have guidelines or, policies around passwords and access and account usage. If you have guidelines, your social media will have a little bit more continuity. This is important for brand recognition, instilling trust with your customer base, and maintaining your business's reputation. So part of streamlining your social media is creating a guide for employees to follow so that you set them up for success and they can hit the ground running. And if you have someone new in that position, they can get up to speed a lot quicker. Another tip is don't give your social media tasks to your teenage niece unless that teenager is an employee or a professional that you're contracting with for your services. I know it seems like a good idea, and it's very tempting to give, your niece your business account to manage because she's on TikTok all day. But you wouldn't hand over other important business accounts, right? Like you wouldn't give her QuickBooks to manage your payroll. You probably shouldn't give her your social media account either. You want to treat your business social media like an administrative task, just like your accounting or your customer service. You'll want to give this task to someone who is reliable and under an obligation to follow your business's policies and expectations. And lastly, train your employees on how to use that business account if they have access to it. Give them the policies and guides and explain how they should be used. Spending a little bit of time getting them oriented will help them be successful. And if they're successful, then your social media will start to or continue to work for you as a way to connect with customers, build a brand, get sales leads, and grow your business. And if you don't train them, you're kind of risking making social media just another burden to yourself or to your employees or just to the business as a whole. And the last streamlining tip here is if you don't want to manage your social media and you don't have an employee who can do it, you can consider outsourcing it. This is probably the ultimate streamlining step you can take. It doesn't mean that you get to be totally hands-off. You still need those policies and guidelines, and you still need to be aware of what's happening on your social media. But it will save you probably the most amount of time. It, of course, comes at the highest cost of any of these processes we've discussed thus far. But there are folks out there that you can hire to help you with your social media. Before you hire someone, though, it's a good idea to just check in with your SBDC advisor and discuss what you want that outsourcing of tasks to look like. So that you make sure you find the right person to do the job, and you can kind of set up clear expectations with them from the beginning. All right, let's review the workflow one last time here. Schedule an hour on your calendar to write and to create and schedule posts. Again, this is just a starting point. You can adjust from here how much time you need. The most important thing is that you just get it on your calendar and you get started. Practice writing some FAQs, or if there are other topics that you are just really excited to write about, Start there. I do mean like write about it. Get out a Word doc, get out a pen and paper, and just start writing. And then from that, you can start to pull out that information, those lines or sentences or paragraphs that you want to use to draft social media posts. And then either save those to your scheduling software or to a spreadsheet or your Word doc. And then create that folder to keep your photos in so that you can easily access them when you need them. And then start picking days and times to post and schedule. Again, I can help you if you want some advice on when you should be scheduling those posts. And then last, recycle your posts. You're kind of rinsing and repeating this as often as you need to or as you want to. So this is just kind of one approach to streamlining your social media. If you'd like to discuss your specific business and a strategy for your social media, please reach out. I'd be happy to help you with any of this, including the list of troubleshooting issues that maybe you come up with before you get to strategy.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, Audie. I'd like to thank all of you in attendance today. The Wyoming Small Business Development Center is here to help you succeed, so please reach out to your local SBDC advisor or visit our website. Thanks again, everybody, for coming, and have a great rest of your day.